just a real teacher, and I'm going to let him kind of take it over from here. But I want to have a little intro here. What is it about Christmas? I mean, I grew up Christmas, Merry Christmas, Christmas tree, Santa Claus, new bike, you know, special clothes, go to church, you know, that whole thing, big dinner, something to look forward to. My dad would drive us around into the richer neighborhoods and look at, you know, the fancy lights. And, you know, we had some lights, but we didn't have lights like those lights. We would go out to the other neighborhoods where they'd have plenty of lights and all kinds of things.
Sure.
And I think, you know, then we raise our kids that way. Then at some point in time, after going to an HBCU and this kind of thing, you kind of change, for me, the mindset changed a little bit. You start wondering, should I be celebrating? Should I not celebrate? Is it proper to teach your kid about Christmas? Should you abandon it? Should you stick with it? I mean, what do you do? I mean, people you kind of feel guilty and you don't know what to do.
Well, what's interesting is that in Christianity, Easter is a more important celebration than Christmas is. Okay, Easter celebrates the resurrection of Jesus the Christ, or Yeshua. But because of the marketing, because of mass media, Christmas seems like it is more important. You have the Christmas decorations, you have the Christmas tree, you have Christmas carols, you have Christmas parties, you have all this centered around Christmas, right?
Christmas gifts,
Christmas
shopping,
all of that centered around Christmas. So even when you study the history of Christmas, and I have, you go back to the late 1800s, late 19th century, Americans were saying then that Christmas was becoming too commercialized. Okay, so and then when we deal with you have some things that converge to make Christmas as popular as it is and as commercialized as it is. You have the rise of the chain stores, chain department stores, things like this in the early 1900s, the Woolworths and the SS Kresge's. You have, going back to the late 18th century, starting in about the 1790s in England, you have the Industrial Revolution, okay? And then also you have the magazines, things like this that allow you to advertise to people. You have the department stores that can sell the products, and then you have media that creates. You have things like A Christmas Carol. You have Charles Dickens, A Christmas Carol, things like this, which help to shape the way people think about Christmas and transform it from just being a religious celebration to also being something for family and something targeting children as well.
Okay, we're going to stop right there.
Sure.
Maxine's saying we have to take a quick break because we had an extra guest tonight that wasn't supposed to be on the agenda but was on the agenda. I had to get her on.
Okay.
So we're going to take a quick break and come right back and pick up where we left off. Michael Imhotep, you don't want to miss it. Christmas, and should we celebrate? Why do we celebrate? What's up?
Okay, so right before the break, I was dealing with some of the history of Christmas becoming a celebrated more as a secular holiday and becoming commercialized and things like this, and not just a religious holiday. So largely, you have, majority of African Americans celebrate Christmas to some extent, and a lot of that has to do with the fact that we were taught that when we were children. Okay, and then you have things that, a Charlie Brown Christmas, Frosty the Snowman, Rudolph the Red-Nosed Reindeer, and what this does is this creates childhood memories. Okay, so there's an emotional attachment to it. So then when we become parents ourselves, oftentimes we want our children to have those same type of memories as well. So
and fantasies.
So then we teach that to them and bring them up in that. So then you have some people who grow out of that, come out of that, and say, I don't want to celebrate Christmas. It could be for religious reasons. It could be understanding the over commercialization of it. You have others who will celebrate Kwanzaa and not Christmas, and you have some that celebrate Christmas as well as Kwanzaa. So Kwanzaa is a cultural celebration. It's not a religious celebration. It's an African-American, Pan-African holiday created in 1966 by Dr. Maulana Karenga and members of Organization US. And it celebrates family, community, and culture. Family, community, and culture. It's December 26th through January the 1st, and is purposely takes place starting the day after Christmas, so people can celebrate Christmas and Kwanzaa, and they don't conflict. Okay, and you know, Kwanzaa is based upon first fruit harvest festivals that come out of Africa. Okay, so a lot of people say, well, Kwanzaa is just something made up. No, it's based upon first fruit harvest festivals that come out of ancient Egypt, ancient Kemet, come out of Nubia, come out of amongst the Yoruba in Nigeria, amongst the Akan in Ghana, things like this. And you have 7 principles of Kwanzaa, known as the Nguzo Saba. And you celebrate a different principle each day, okay? Whether you're dealing with unity, umoja, or self-determination, kujichagulia, collective work and responsibility, ujima, etc. So the Kwanzaa is something extremely, extremely important because it reconnects African people to African culture, history, and language. And we know because of the transatlantic slave trade, we've been stripped of this history and culture, and most of us don't have a real understanding. Well, most African Americans don't even understand the history of slavery, number one, period. Even though there are a lot of slave movies, most of us don't understand the history of slavery, number one. Number two, we don't understand the history of African people prior to slavery. Okay, even in this country, because there's a strong African presence in this country going back tens of thousands of years ago. And if people read the book, The First Americans Were Africans, Documented Evidence, by Dr. David Imhotep, he thoroughly documents this. Okay, so
getting back to Kwanzaa and Christmas.
Go ahead.
No, I'm not going to talk because I want you to take up the
rest
of the show.
Do
you think that you talked about the commercialization? Because all we hear, I mean, they started putting up Christmas decorations in the department stores and malls at Halloween time.
Sure.
I mean, we haven't even celebrated Halloween, which I don't really care about, or even Thanksgiving, and they're already pushing Christmas.
Well, that's because that's their golden quarter. And a lot of retail businesses, up to 40% of their business comes in October, November, and December. I used to be in retail management, so I noticed it's called the golden quarter. So they are, and they have all these retail stores. They have monthly sales goals to reach. They have quarterly sales goals and annual sales goals. So it's direct. So Christmas, a lot of these retail stores, Christmas is a huge portion of their annual sales. And then usually those store managers, district managers and regional managers, they usually have bonuses attached to the sales of the stores in their areas, etc. So this is something, it's huge. Okay.
And it's all about money.
Well, it's about money on multiple levels. Yeah, it's about money on multiple levels.
Where are you personally, if you don't mind my asking, in these celebrations of Christmas and Kwanzaa?
Well, I don't celebrate Christmas because that's the history of it. Okay. So I don't celebrate Christmas. I celebrate Kwanzaa. Absolutely.
So you have young children or young
I have one daughter. She's about to turn 22 months.
Okay.
Yeah. Yeah.
So she doesn't understand any of it yet.
No, but she, she is beating on the djembe African drum, but no, she doesn't deal with that. But we'll teach her about Kwanzaa. Won't teach her about Christmas.
And speaking of Kwanzaa, the big celebration comes up at the Charles Wright Museum, and it will be your 5th year of being a keynote speaker.
Yeah, I think this is the 5th year. So they celebrating all 7 days. Starting December 26th, Wednesday, December 26th through January the 1st. And most of the celebrations are 6 p.m. to 9 p.m. I'll be there the first 3 days, and I'm speaking on the second day of Kwanzaa, which is Thursday, December 27th. And that's organized by the Malcolm X grassroots movement.
What will you be speaking about?
I'll deal with what I'm going to do, 2 main things. I'm going to deal with some of the history of Kwanzaa and how it, and trace it back to African roots and African first fruit harvest festivals. And then also we'll deal with the film Black Panther. Kwanzaa reconnects us to our history and culture. And the film Black Panther as well reconnects us to African history and culture, because to really understand the film, you have to understand African history, culture, language, and spiritual systems. And we see this evident all throughout the film. Okay, so I'll show you some examples of how the film relates to African history. One of them very quickly is when we deal with T'Challa, who is in the comic books. He's basically probably the richest man in the Marvel comic universe. Well, that's Mansa Musa, who became emperor of the Mali Empire in 1312 AD. And then we see one of the reasons why the film Black Panther resonated so much here in America is because it wasn't another slave movie. Okay. And we saw African people controlling a nation. We saw them controlling technology, but also we saw African women playing a very, very important role. They were not the damsels in distress. We saw a lot of beautiful, also dark-skinned African women who were also the heroes of the film as well. Okay, so the film Black Panther is deep on multiple levels. So we'll deal with, and incidentally, incidentally, Kwanzaa was created in 1966. The Black Panther character was created in 1966 also for Marvel Comics. Jack Kirby and Stan Lee, first introduced July 1966 in Fantastic Four issue number 52.
Were you shocked at the overwhelming success of that film?
I was shocked. I was shocked some, but I knew it was time for it also, because a lot of our people want to learn their history. I mean, there were more African Americans showing up to the Black Panther movie wearing African garb than show up wearing African garb at the Kwanzaa celebrations. Literally. I'm looking at this all across the country.
So what
Go ahead.
what do we need to do? People like you. I mean, what do you need to do? What needs to be done? Not you personally, but for us to get it, me included, for all of us to really get it, to understand the importance of changing our mindset.
Well, but very
kind of
simply,
like rebooting our whole cultural.
Very simply, your thoughts create feelings, your feelings create actions and behaviors, your actions and behaviors create results. So we must understand that the foundation is African history and culture. It gives us our values, our interests, and our principles. This influences our economic empowerment and our political empowerment. We have to have all three: the history and culture, the economics, and the politics. It's not just one or the other. Okay, and as you start to learn more, I encourage people to read books like Nile Valley Contributions to Civilization by Tony Browder. If they go to our website, AfricanHistoryNetwork.com, we have a recommended reading list of books. There's almost 60 books there. Nile Valley Contributions to Civilization is an excellent one to start with by Tony Browder. And as you start to learn more, what happens is it changes the way you think, which changes your behavior. We have to understand the importance that politics plays in our lives.
But then, Kwanzaa has always been kind of isolated. Like right now, I think a few years ago, a few years back, when Detroit started to change, campus marches became big. They started to do the menorah in the D to celebrate Hanukkah. And the Jewish population, which was totally not mainly in Detroit, but in the suburbs, came down in droves, hundreds, thousands of people to see the menorah being lit. Of course, there's the big Christmas tree. But the Kwanzaa celebrations, even though they're great over at the museum, they're not public. I mean, you have to kind of go. You can avoid it.
Oh, I see what you're saying. It's not out in the open.
Right. It's not out in the open. I mean, I don't. So, could there be a symbol that could be a public symbol like the others, like the Christmas tree, like the big menorah?
How about the Joe Louis fist, the black fist? How about that? Black power. How about that? It's always there. It's not going anywhere. And then also, for people also to understand, the Kwanzaa celebration, Kwanzaa number one.
But don't say it's not going anywhere, because there's been a move by some certain people to move it over to someplace else.
Well, yeah, that'd be a bad idea.
I think there'd be a lot of issues.
But that can be a symbol right there. Okay, the Joe Louis fist. But what people really have to understand also is that Kwanzaa is a family celebration as well, and so you want to bring the children also. It's open to the public. Charles H. Wright Museum is free, open to the public. They can visit the website theright.org, WRIGHT, for more information. And Kwanzaa celebrations in general, they focus on family, community, and culture. So we want to bring our children, and there's studies that document. University of Pittsburgh and Harvard University did a joint study, and they deal with the positive impact that engaging our children in cultural practices and celebrations, the positive impact it has on their academics as well.
Now, what does a child do at a Kwanzaa celebration while you're speaking? They don't understand what you're talking about.
Oh, yes, they do.
You think
I do visual presentations. I have video. I'm a master teacher. I know what I'm doing.
Okay,
absolutely.
So when you speak to families can come and hear you.
And we did with Black Panther. Oh, I've done presentations for children dealing with the film Black Panther. Oh, yes, they understand. They understand. So you could come on out, and I'm speaking Tuesday. The event is 6 p.m. to 9 p.m. Charles H. Wright Museum of African American History.
In the main auditorium?
In the General Motors Theater, absolutely. Bring the family. And they'll have African Marketplace. They're very important people.
I was going to say.
Yeah, they have an African Marketplace every day. I'll be a vendor the first 3 days. They have an African Marketplace. Come on out. Circulate your dollars with African American owned businesses. Okay?
And what will you have as a vendor?
Oh, I have my DVD lectures there. We'll have some DVDs. I have 40 of my lectures on DVD. But we'll have DVDs. We'll have some documentaries dealing with our history, African culture, African American history.
And these are, is there gift giving at Kwanzaa?
The last day of Kwanzaa, you can give gifts, usually some type of educational gift.
So your DVDs would be great gifts.
Absolutely, absolutely. And it could be a gift that you make. But yeah, our DVDs make great gifts. And then, yeah, absolutely, absolutely. And then also even late Christmas gifts as well. Some people still celebrate Christmas. You want to give something educational also. And those watching online, etc., AfricanHistoryNetwork.com, AfricanHistoryNetwork.com. You can order from our website also, as well as digital downloads and online courses.
What is, wow. How did you get to know so much?
26 years of research.
I mean,
I've been doing this 26 years, yeah.
This is your thing.
Oh, yeah, absolutely. 26 years of research, studying, absolutely. Doing radio, 8 years. And some of my teachers, Dr. Leonard Jeffries, Professor Kabahaya Kamene, Professor James Small, Dr. Ray Hagins, Dr. David Imhotep, Dr. Claude Anderson. So, yeah, I've been, I started back at Wayne State University in 1992.
And what is the reception that you get when you encounter white people who really don't understand what you're talking about?
Well, they show respect because they have no choice.
Or even black people who don't understand.
Well, white people, I have white people give me compliments because even they may not like what I'm saying, but they can't refute it. So they have to bow down when they come to my time. And then African Americans, a lot of them, after they hear more and hear more, they have to give respect, and a lot of them are interested. Some of them, for some of them, it can be a shock because they were never taught this information, even with the degrees. I have people who have history degrees that listen to my radio show Sunday nights, 9 p.m. to 11 p.m. Eastern Standard Time, and they say they learn a lot from my show that they didn't learn in school. And they have degrees in history. Yes.
So next up, you don't have to. We'll be shut down this Sunday, right?
Oh yeah, there's no show, not this Sunday. But people, when they go to our website, AfricanHistoryNetwork.com, we have almost 900 audio podcasts of my shows going back to 2010 that you can listen to.
Wow, so we all can get educated.
Yes, absolutely.
Well, thank you for taking some time out of your evening.
Thanks for having me. Thanks for having me, Charlene.
And I hope your earlier meeting for your Castech reunion went well.
Oh yeah, 30-year reunion in 1989 with
Okay,
Planet.
so that's coming up.
Yes.
Okay, we're going to try to get over there to the to hear you.
Absolutely.
If I'm in town, we're still trying to plan
a
little holiday break. But I really want to hear you speak off the radio.
Oh yes,
that's what I want.
Oh, you'll enjoy it.
Okay, I'm sure I will. Again, thank you for your
problem.
teaching.
Thanks for having me.
I call him the scholar, Michael Imhotep. And yes, we're going into the holiday break, but I'll be back next Thursday, right here, same time, same place. Good night and God bless.
Good night.
Business with Charlene.
This is Beverly Smith.
Oh.
Okay, guys.
Why was that on?
AfricanHistoryNetwork.com. Talk to y'all later. Peace.